Hi and welcome to the Trading Bell. Now today we take a dive into a different sector and we're talking about what matters to everybody. We're talking about health. And in the house today we'll be discussing with the CEO of the Aga Khan University Hospital, that is Rashid Khalani. And he's going to tell us what they're really doing to ensure that you and I are living healthy and much more. So Rashid, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. I must say congratulations, first of all, on such great progress in health sector. I think your name is synonymous when it comes to matters health. And thank you so much for having us. This is a bit of a detour from what we normally talk a lot about, a lot of financials and what people are doing. But health is important, definitely. And I just wanted to endear our viewers, first of all, to you and to the Aga Khan University Hospital. And I want to really talk about the reputation that you have and start it off by asking about quality healthcare in the region. What are the strategies that have contributed to this growth and success over these years?
Thanks for having me, Maina. There has been many strategies, but we have to look at where we have come from. So the hospital is not a new hospital. We started in 1958. So it's now a 66, 67-year-old hospital.
Wow.
It did not start as a teaching hospital. It was called Platinum Jubilee Hospital. It was more of a maternity home. But like we humans grow, institutions also grow. And the institution grew over time, leaps and bounds. We invested in people, we invested in facilities, we invested in technology. And in 2003, 2004, His Highness the Aga Khan, the first Chancellor of Aga Khan University, made a very important decision to convert the hospital into a teaching hospital. And subsequent to that, there has been significant investments, and we are where we are because of those investments. I always say that you have to plant the right seeds in order to get the right fruits. So we have planted the right seeds in the past 65 years. And what are those seeds? The first and the foremost is the people investment. I think you can build beautiful buildings. Anyone with the money can buy a piece of equipment. But if you do not have the right people, qualified people, competent people, empathetic people, then I think those beautiful equipment or the beautiful buildings are meaningless. So first investment is in the people. The second investment is in the quality of care. I think it is very high on our agenda when it comes to quality. And we have sort of an uncompromising attitude towards quality, be it quality of education or be it quality of clinical service. You must have seen that Aga Khan University Hospital, we have very many logos within our business cards. Joint Commission International, College of American Pathologists, SANAs from South Africa, Safecare, and I can go on and on. That investment in quality is extremely important for us because we are benchmarking ourselves against the best in the world. And if you look at Kenya, sadly, there are no regulations around these quality certifications, right? Nobody is asking us to do that. But it's the right thing to do. So that is the second biggest investment that we continue to make. And the third is being in technology, equipment. That investments, it gives us the edge. We are always ahead of the curve. It is very important. And I'll give you one example. Back in 2018, now 7 years back, we were the first hospital in this country to bring PET scan and the cyclotron, 2018. It was a 550 million shillings investment or 600 million shilling investment at the time. And taxpayers did not pay it. Right? If you look at other public hospitals, taxpayer pay for that investment. We invest ourselves. And what is PET scan and the cyclotron? As we know that the disease burden for cancer in this part of the world is sadly increasing. Right? We were known, the Africa was known for infectious disease, HIV, TB, malaria. But now as we know that the disease burden of NCDs is growing. And if you want to treat it, you have to diagnose it.
Absolutely.
And so in 2018, we brought PET scan and the cyclotron, which will help us, which is helping us in the diagnosis of the cancer. So that's the investment, that's the impact. So I have taken a longer route to answer your question, but these are some of the investments that we have made and we will continue to make in order to ensure that we are always ahead of the curve. We will always ensure that we have healthy population. We are investing big time in the wellness programs for our population as well. So these are the kind of investment that is why we are where we are.
Okay, thanks so much. Actually, you have given me Nowadays we're using the word broad-based answer, which is good. But I want to actually dig in a little bit on that. I love the history you've given in from the maternity hospital to where we are now.
Sure.
One of the things when it comes to the mention of the word healthcare, I mean, we have newspapers here, as you can see,
Sure.
that we can't miss a healthcare conversation,
Yes.
especially now. There's a conversation on affordability first, and listening to you and some of the equipments you've had to bring and the cost it comes with, you can tell it's a delicate balance to ensure that you're affordable and that you're sustainable as well, and you're giving quality care.
Sure.
I don't know how you're balancing that.
Sure.
That would be my part one of the question. And then part two, what's in the affordability part? Because it's always sometimes something that is on discussions on tables. Yes.
Sure. I think that's a very interesting question, and there is no one answer to it. First thing that I will say is that if you want a sustainable future, let's forget about the healthcare.
Right.
Let's talk about an individual. I'm sure you have kids.
Yeah.
And you tell them that if you want a good, bright future, you have to invest in education. And you do it as a parent.
Yeah.
Same, now take that explanation, bring it to the institution. If you want, or take it to the country. If you want a sustainable family, if you want a sustainable organization, if you want a sustainable country, you have to invest in the right. You have to make right investments.
You're right.
So the hospital, Aga Khan University Hospital, we are not for profit institution. So there are no shareholders. There is no profit taking at the end of the year. There are no shareholders badgering me at the end of the year for dividends. Every single shilling that is generated by this institution is invested back in the country. Not a single shilling leaves the country. So we have to have the sustainable operations, because if we are not sustainable, then how are we going to invest in the things that I said requires investment? The field of the medicine is ever evolving. The medications and the equipment which were there 10 years back, 20 years back are not relevant today. And what technologies are coming, you have heard about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. If you want to invest, you have to have the money for it. If you don't have the money for it, how are you going to invest? So we are creating a sustainable operation so that we can invest in technology, we can invest in facilities, we can invest in expansion plans, we can invest in people. And that's how the sustainability is. Now the question about the affordability is an important question. If the Aga Khan University Hospital invests millions of shillings in equipment without the backing of the taxpayers, if the Aga Khan University Hospital invests millions of shillings in the quality standards, if the Aga Khan University Hospital spends millions of shillings in training doctors and the nursing, then obviously the costs are high and the prices are high.
True that.
Right? But then the question about the affordability, that's why we have these outreach medical centers. And I mentioned this to you in your earlier question, that between Aga Khan, Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu, we covered the almost entire Kenyan geography, and we have now 75-80 outreach centers in different geographies. And we are very deliberate that those medical centers pricing should be 25, 30, 40% in some cases lower than the main hospital. And now we are increasingly trying to take many of the services to outreach centers. So for example, if you're, God forbid, a kidney patient and if you're under dialysis, you really don't have to come to a tertiary care big hospital. Dialysis can be done very safely as an outpatient setting in an outpatient center. Many of the diagnosis, for example, CT scan, MRs, X-rays, ultrasounds, you really don't have to come to the main hospital. Those can be done very safely in outreach settings. Cataract surgeries can be done very safely in outreach settings. So what we are now trying to do increasingly is taking many of those services to the outreach centers, medical centers, and where the prices are 30-40% lower. It is closer to the community, so you don't have to wrestle with the Nairobi traffic as an example. And that also ensures that we work on the wellness of the population, right? If the medical center is providing good care and which is next to your home, then obviously the accessibility is easy. That will ensure that there is wellness within the population.
Being and remaining at the top in terms of quality healthcare and providing services for your clients and patients as well is one thing, but maintaining that as well is another. And we have seen stories, as is in the news and everywhere else, where we have, some people who are, inundated in some arguments here and there.
Sure.
And as a patient, I would be curious and worried. Is my healthcare the first concern
Sure.
when I go to this hospital? So I wanted to ask you, what are you doing to ensure that any patient who comes to you knows that you have the utmost care for them?
I think it comes from the culture of the institution.
Yeah.
It comes from the leadership. They have to set the tone.
Yeah.
If you look at our first chancellor, His Highness Aga Khan, and now the current chancellor and the pro-chancellor, when we go in the board meetings, the first question that we are asked is not about the financial sustainability.
Good.
Those questions come, but they come later. The first question is, the primary questions are about the quality of care, about the quality of education. That is closer to our heart as an institution. I think that's tone setting at the top.
Absolutely.
So that's part number one. Number two, are you demonstrating that the patients are at the center of it?
Yeah.
If you're investing in facility, if you're investing in technology, if you're investing in people, then we are demonstrating that we care about you.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to someone just yesterday that we are the only private hospital that is a teaching hospital. If you look at other private hospitals, they do not have university in the name. Aga Khan is not a hospital. Aga Khan is university hospital. It's a teaching hospital.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That we are not only treating the patients, which is very episodic.
Yeah.
A patient is sick, patient comes, you treat them well, and they go home. Episode is finished.
Yeah.
The sustainability is when you train the doctors and the nurses for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Very true.
So I think that's what we are demonstrating, that we are not only treating the patients, we are also training the doctors and the nurses for tomorrow. And this conversation has another angle.
Yeah.
Many of our Kenyan brothers and sisters, they are going outside of Kenya for better jobs, right?
There's a lot. Yeah.
And which we don't mind. I think people, for their family decisions, they have every right to go to the other parts of the world and earn dollars and pounds and send some monies back to the country so that the country can benefit from those remittances. So people will leave.
Yeah.
So if good quality doctors do leave, who is going to treat us?
Yeah. We'll have no one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If there are few hematologists in the country, if all of them were to leave, who's going to treat the blood cancers? So that's why the training agenda is now more important than ever.
Yeah.
Because now the geographies are open. Kenyans have been recognized as qualified, competent people, and they go out. And when they go out, we need someone who can treat us.
Yeah.
And then and there are many people from outside of Kenya who come to Kenya for healthcare, who's going to treat them? And we want them to come as well.
Yeah.
Because that is a generation of the foreign exchange for the country as well, right?
You mentioned about AI. So the conversation is purely about the innovations that are coming up, especially in the medical field.
Yes.
And I will say this, I'm a bit guilty of also sometimes trying to diagnose myself, just checking in and you type here and there. But anyway, over the field as well, I'm sure where you sit, you're also trying to ensure that you're not left behind when it comes to these innovations. Yes. How are you coping with this, by the way?
I think I'll give you 2 point responses. Because we are a teaching hospital, we have taken upon ourselves that we will employ doctors in full time. Okay. We have now 168 full-time faculty. We don't call them doctors. We call them faculty. We call them teachers because we are a university hospital. They have dual responsibility. Responsibility to treat patients and responsibility to train doctors and the nurses. Now these very qualified, competent doctors that we have, we encourage them, we train them. And we invest in the faculty development so that they can go out and get training in these new technologies, be it machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the likes. So they have become the advocates. They want to invest. They want us, the hospital administration, to invest in these technologies, right? So they are the ones who are actually pushing the agenda. So, which I love it. So that's number one. Where the management sits, we are also very concerned and connected with what is happening around the world. Like you said, that being at top is one, maintaining it is a different conversation.
Absolutely.
And you can only maintain it when you invested. So I'll give you an example. 2022.
Yeah.
It's been 2.5 years. Time is flying. In 2022, we invested 1.5 billion shillings, $12 million in implementing electronic health record system across all our hospital and our outreach centers.
Yeah.
What does this mean? That every single, even if you are in, for example, Nehru,
yeah,
you were seen by a doctor, and then you were referred to the main hospital in Parklands.
Yeah.
Your data, you don't have to carry those physical files. You were done scanned there. It is absolutely seamless.
Yeah.
So we, within the hospital system, Nairobi hospital system, I'm not counting Mombasa and Kisumu.
Yeah.
Within the Nairobi hospital system, we see around 750,000 patients every year.
Wow.
And then there is mobility, right? Not everyone is living in Nairobi.
You're right.
Not everyone is living in Parklands. They come from everywhere else. So that investment of $12 million is significant when we talk about technology, right? That will allow our students to learn from that electronic health record system. So not only we are training the patients today, but we are also training the doctors who are ready for the technology for tomorrow.
Okay.
Then we have very many partners, international partners. I can think of University of Michigan.
Okay.
We have a grant working with University of Michigan where we are using artificial intelligence to detect colon cancer. We are, I don't want to give away my trade secrets, but then we are investing significantly in few other artificial intelligence platforms.
Okay.
And you will hear it in the next 3 to 6 months. Whereby again we will be the first ones to bring those. I'll give you one example. Is the digital pathology that we are investing in, and in the next few months you will see that we will be the first ones to bring that digital pathology in this part of the world.
Wow.
So and it's, I think the investment is not that you invest today and you stop and you think that I am untouchable for 50 years. I think you have to continue to invest.
You're right.
You have to stay ahead of the game all the time.
Okay.
I think that's what Aga Khan University Hospital is all about.
All right.
We don't take a step back and say, okay, we have done our part, now let's sleep.
No, I love the fact that the schooling element of it helps you to constantly check on what's the latest. And we can't wait as well. That's good news for customers as well and your patients. As we come to a close of the conversation, you've mentioned a myriad of some of the headaches or challenges that you have had to battle with, especially with this change of technology and the likes. But I'm curious, even as you're speaking now, part of that being part of the challenges, what's still a headache on your desk as we have this conversation?
That's a difficult question.
Yes.
I think the first and the foremost, as a business leader, I think the ethical values. Ethical conduct is extremely important for us.
Yeah.
If because of the difficult economic conditions, if my team, my colleagues are not conducting themselves ethically, that's a point of concern for me.
Right. Yeah.
We see many providers in this market, and we have heard it in the newspapers during NHIF and now, and in various forums you have heard the ethical conduct of some of the providers. That is a worrying factor for me. You know, if you're going to a restaurant, you're a client. If you're going to an airport, you're a client. If you're going to a school, you're a client. Coming to a hospital, it's a fiduciary responsibility. You're not a client, you're a patient. And you're emotional.
Absolutely.
And a provider being unethical, so that's one of the biggest concern for me.
Yeah.
The second biggest concern, I would say, is, I wouldn't say concern, but I am just anxious right now of the SHA.
Yeah.
I think the universal health coverage is a beautiful agenda.
Yeah.
I know, and I know for a fact that we are facing teething problems.
Yeah.
With the rollout of the system. Those teething problems, I hope and pray that goes away. But as things stands today, some of the providers, they are not being paid like ourselves, or not being paid in full. Right. And that compromises our ability to conduct the business As I said, that we have to invest in people, we have to pay people's salaries, we have to invest in technology and equipment and whatnot.
Yeah.
If we don't get paid, where do we find the money? If we have to borrow to pay for my operating expenses, then it will catch up with me, right? I have to pay interest, and then I will compromise my future, my tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful agenda, the universal healthcare. I think the vehicle that the government has chosen, Shah, is facing its teething problems. But my hope, we have been credible partners, strong partners with the government of Kenya through and through.
Yeah.
And we will stand by the government of Kenya, and we will be supportive of that agenda.
Yeah.
My hope and prayer that these teething problems go away. There is more stability within the system. There is ethical conduct.
Yeah.
On both sides, Shah side as well as the provider side. It's extremely important.
Yeah.
And then I think when it happens, I think it will benefit the country as a whole.
I love that. And you're not alone in this. We have heard it in the news everywhere else. And we really certainly hope that this can be done and dusted ASAP as soon as possible.
Yes.
Rashid, give me one or two wellness things I can do for myself so that at least, and you're watching, we're in a hospital, so it's important.
Yes. I think eating healthy, that's one thing. Being physically active, that's another.
Yeah. Okay.
Doing your wellness checks.
Thank you so much, Rashid. Wow. So we are at the Aga Khan University itself, where they are training young guys here who are actually crossover, and they are the doctors that we see and the people who are meant to be there. So I wanted to ask you the question on the essence behind it, because I can see it was launched by the president right here, 2021. How's the progress, and why is this a core of why you're doing this?
Why is it important? As I mentioned to you, that treating patients was not enough. Training doctors and the nurses for tomorrow was very important for us, is very important for us, right? So it's one of the principles that we have, one of the ethos that we have, that we will not only treat patients, we will also train the doctors and the nurses for tomorrow. That is where the sustainability comes in.
There's a lot of green here,
Yes.
and I see a lot of red bricks. It's like your form of architecture.
Yes.
What's behind all this?
I think it is the love for the architecture. His Highness the Aga Khan,
Yeah.
our first Chancellor.
Yeah.
He was very passionate about architecture and green spaces. He always said that the quality of life of human beings is also dependent on the environment or the infrastructure that they live in.
Yeah.
So if you look at all Aga Khan development network buildings, you will find red bricks, you will find greenery, where we are very particular about it, we are very conscious about it, because we want to create an environment, be it for patients, be it for students, or be it for visitors for Serena Hotel, because it's also part of AKDN, to get the best environment which is closer to the nature as well. So you'll find streams of water, you will find fountains in our facilities. You will definitely find red bricks with Aga Khan University, and you will find a lot of green spaces.